Kivushka, can you hear me? Likewise. Leslie, wonderfully, how are you? Everyone, thank you for joining. I am going to, people who signed up for the workshop, I am going to send the emails now. And that way we can actually have feedback regarding whether people got it, whether it's functional. Hippocrates, I didn't expect sentimentality of that level from you. Mendoza, hello. Thank you, Kiva. Thank you, Kiva. We're warming up today like this, so 1 second. PM EST on May 9th. This Saturday. So this guy didn't want to be in the workshop. So yeah, guys, what's your prognosis? Are you going to have big audience today or none? In the meantime, Kiva is going to prepare the tea. Wonderful idea. Now, then blink. I think everyone who was supposed to receive, received. Kiva, let me send it to you as well. I'm up for a workshop. Hippocrates, have you received the email? Let me know if you got the ding dong in your inbox. Why is the email not loading? Whoop. I think we're all set. Not just yet, girl. Okay. Kiva, I sent it to you as well. I'm also curious if GCA will join today because I can't believe that our friend GCA missed out on such a cool topic yesterday. I kept everything on the whiteboard today in case we want to discuss more aspects of that. But I want more interactive thing because yesterday we completely skipped whole interactive portion and I missed that so much. I want to compensate today. So let me also, now that the emails I think are sent, the emails are sent, we can, hop, and forget about the existence of my laptop. So, hop. And now, Hippocrates. Any emails? Check in who is currently actively here. You missed nothing, Kiva. I wonder if it's in spam. It shouldn't be in spam. If you received my previous response, it shouldn't be in spam, right? I replied in the same chains that we already had conversations in. So I hope it's not gonna go into spam. Just got my previous, okay. Okay, well, maybe later. We've got whole journey ahead of us. Yeah, Kiva, you missed nothing. Today I was saying that I really hope for interactive work. And I wanna be anxious about it, you know? It's yeah. Kiva, if it's possible, if it's convenient, yeah, check if you received any notifications because I just sent an email. So yeah, it's I enjoy some slight anxiety about it because you know it aggravates the feeling of the event, makes it special. So it turns it into some extra moment as opposed to just a routine thing. So I wonder if I can change the title of the live stream on the fly with something clickbaity. Hello, everyone who's joining. Check in the chat, please. Tantra coach, Tantra therapist is here to answer your questions. What you see on the whiteboard is our previous yesterday's live stream in which we're talking about female sexual wellness and female sexuality and how Tantra therapy works in recovery from sexual trauma and also the anything that lead to avoiding intimacy in women. So this is what we're doing yesterday, and usually my live streams are structured in a way that we have lecture portion at first, and then the audience asks questions and we have case studies. And yesterday what happened was the whole live stream ended up being on this topic, and it was so still I feel like we could discuss more and more things in that, and we completely missed the interactive part. So today I want to catch up on that. And thank you, Hippocrates. That's a clickbait dress, you know. We're continuing yesterday's topic. Kiva, we are going with the flow. I'm embracing the flow today. And I want to summon some interesting case studies and questions. Because I feel like yesterday we didn't finish our conversation. Everybody had a lot to say. And I want more beef. But let me fill you in on what I was doing today. I went to the beach at 4, and I went to swim. The water is very cold. Going with the flow. Keep that as a side note. Text. Okay, okay, nice. That's very tantric of you, Kiva. I went to the beach. I went to swim. The water was wonderfully cold. And then I lay down. I'm like, I kind of feel like I am very primed to do this full body breathing thing. So I just played my recording quietly, put it near my ear, and did this whole full body breathing meditation. And I was, when you get to know the recording of the meditation, when you start practicing it all the time, what happens, one funny thing happens is that your brain starts perceiving it as like, I know what's coming next. It's boring. When you memorize every single bit of that work, every bit of this practice, and I actually want to consult my teacher for what to do with in that case. Paxton Bear, hello and thank you for joining. So I don't know what to do with that when you reach the level at which level of familiarity with the practice at which your brain is just like, heard this million times. What to do with that? But nevertheless, I performed the practice and it actually sent me to some different states, which was really wonderful, which was really pleasant. It basically, full body breathing puts you, if you are in the state conducive to that, it puts you in a state in which you are sleeping from a very cool, relaxed state. You know how sometimes you can have million thoughts in your head before bed? You're like laying in bed with all of this baggage. And then when you reach exhaustion, you fall asleep. That's one way to fall asleep. The other scenario is when you are physically fatigued, when you're very ready to sleep, and you just get into comfortable position and you fall asleep. After that meditation, you fall asleep in some very strange relaxation and you kind of flow into it. So you flow into sleep through meditative state. And on the beach it was so cool to do because there is sun shining in my face. Super warm sand and at the same time cool sand underneath. And it was wonderful. Very relaxing. But yeah, that one thing bugged me. Again, that I know the practice to the T. I know exactly what comes next. In that aspect of my brain, I guess, having a habit of being stimulated and always thinking about stuff, that is a practice on its own for me to kind of work, to dedicate myself to the practice. To just let it be, let it go, let it happen without being like, I've heard it a million times. And despite that, the practice still remains very, very efficient, very effective. Full body breathing, it teaches you, the one that we'll be doing at the workshop on Saturday, this practice diffuses you from hyper focusing on anything. So it's a very expansive practice that gives you awareness of your entire body and a very pleasant kind of awareness. Open Diary, hello. What's the topic today? Open Diary. Today we're just talking, so questions are accepted. We're continuing on the yesterday's topic because I think we had a lot left to discuss. So if you have something inspired by yesterday's talk, let's go for it. And yesterday oh my god, oh my god. Sorry, there is a spider like this. Holy, what did I do with it? I'll show you what happened. The spider happened. Let me show you real quick. Check check this out. And these are the curtains that I absolutely despise. This is the spider. What do I do with it? Leave it. I mean, it will start running around. I would want to incinerate it or put it in the balcony somewhere such that it can go embrace the wilderness where it belongs. Not my apartment. It just showed up. It startled me. Why does it have 6 paws? Did it fight? Or it has 2 on one side and 4. It's a poor injured spider, I think. I think it has 4 on one side and 2 on the other side. Okay, let's approach it in a vegan way, guys. So big though. I wonder which kind it is, you know? Anytime I move somewhere, there is new flora and fauna to explore and learn about. She's also learning from you, yeah. So, the practice still functions, still works, which is wonderful. And I want to get into a more disciplined way of performing it. When I was just going through my initial course in Tantra, when I was going through my preparation in Tantra, I was doing this thing like prescribed 5 days a week. You know, when you work with Tantra, the importance and why it works is because there is I'm still keeping an eye on the spider, I'm sorry. I'm just curious where it will end, and then I will calm down. So the strength of this method is that you have a recipe for practices. You have a protocol, what to do, when to do, how to do, how to track your progress, what to monitor. And this practice full body breathing is performed 5 days a week. Hello, Chad. We're having a conundrum, Chad. Let me show you the spider. What would you do with this creature? And Chad, just to fill you in, we're going through the topics that are inspired by yesterday's conversation. So if you have any questions, comments, life stories to discuss, let's go for it. Today is more interactive portion. Have you ever had a crush on a viewer? Oh, that's an interesting question. Have you ever had a crush on a viewer? I haven't, because I've never met my viewers. So it's really hard question. I don't know. I know you only through what you message behind the anonymous avatars and stuff. So I hadn't had any crushes on my viewers. No. When I was in the vegan sphere, ex-vegan sphere, I had stories where I received personal invitations to participate in the debates and such. So that was my relationships with the audience, I guess, previously, but nothing of that kind. Let him walk onto a sheet of paper and flush it down the toilet. He walks very fast. I need to walk with him afterwards on the sheet of paper. So I'm not thrilled with this idea. Thank you, Chad. The goat, 9 millimeters. Thank you. But hypothetically, if you met a viewer named Paxton who was lovely, I don't know. That's a very hypothetical questions for this matter. Woodson, hello. Tantra coach, Tantra therapist, ask your questions. We're chatting today. D. Saki, hello. New subscriber here. Welcome and thank you so much. Very happy to see you. Hello, Spider. How was your class? Do you like it? I speak with a squeak from failed tantric sexual session with ex-partner in 2017. What? Crushed larynx and lacerations in vocal cords. Don't freak out when you hear me on Saturday. That's more than enough information. Thank you, Hippocrates. See if you can trap it with 2 cups. He ran away. Maybe I should just open the balcony and let him roam free. Open it wider. Whitson, my name is Nastya. Nice to meet you. I'm doing well, thank you. How are you? I was just talking about how I was performing one of the essential tantric practices on the beach today, just because I was inspired to go in this deep flow. It was very good. There is also, by the way, something to think about, something that inspires me to think about the pursuit of more thrill, let's say, because, I was analyzing once, when it comes to spirituality, like New Age spirituality practices, people a lot of times, they go for higher and higher and higher intensity of thrill. So there is this spiritual amusement park, spiritual amusement assortment that is offered on the market, including different like weird substances, including weird practices, weird forms of stimulation. I recently, not so recently, I guess, saw a girl who was performing this kind of meditation when she lays in the box that closes, and the box has lamps. It's like basically like sunbed, or like suntan bed, tanning bed. It is tanning bed, but it had those flashing lamps on top of it. So she's laying down, she closes her eyes, and these lamps of super high intensity spontaneously pulsate and blast light into her. And that is supposed to cause something in the brain. Or some people go and they do all sorts of like deprivation practices. They also do substances, just crank up the intensity of some spiritual thrill. And this is something that I want to not get in the pursuit of, even though there are a lot of things I'm not going to pursue anyways, just by nature of my preferences and my ethics, and what I find appropriate for me and what I find not appropriate for me, because I don't like too strong stimulus. But today's meditative experience and recent meditative experiences with that full body breathing practice, they kind of make me weary. Like I am pursuing something different. I'm pursuing something that will be satisfying something else. And that's something I need to reflect on, and I need to talk about that with my teacher actually. What to do with that. Because the practice is really cool. The practice is working. The only thing that's not working is that the sense of familiarity, having learned it to like fully, completely, inhibits my experiences. Okay, sorry about that. Which questions can we ask and what's the stream about, if I may ask? Jisaki, of course you may ask. You are my audience. You are my viewer. So the questions that you may ask is whatever you find appropriate to ask Tantra coach, Tantra therapist in general. We're never locked within one strict topic typically, unless we're in the middle of lecture portion or in the middle of some case study. You can ask anything you find appropriate to address to Tantra coach, Tantra therapist. Generally, anything that's related to your self realization, your mental state, then your organization of life, relationships, sexuality, things like that. So, whatever's on your mind, think and ask. In general, my plan was to continue yesterday's topic, which was on female sexual wellness and recovery, the tantric strategy for recovery from sexual trauma, or any phenomena leading to avoiding intimacy or associating intimacy with something bad. So that's what we were talking about yesterday. Shuda can join. Hello. Nice to see you. Do I like traveling? I like traveling in a way that it depends on where, of course. Traveling just for traveling, I cannot say it is a generally yes, because I traveled to places that I didn't like for sure. In those places, I really wanted to go back home from. But traveling to the places that I generally like, of course, I do like. And the only thing that I don't like about traveling is organizing things, and if there is any paperwork, and logistics of it. But partially it was because I lived in the middle of nowhere in the United States, which means that I had to travel to some airport or to some train station, then go through a bunch of stuff to get to the airport that flies to interesting places. And then, yeah, it was a little bit obnoxious. So it depends. But logistics and bureaucracy of travels and organization I don't like typically, but the experience itself I do like. When I am at the level of wealth at which I can afford to improve comfort of my travels, I will surely do that. That would be one of the things that I will possibly prioritize or try to optimize. But I also like to, it's seasons in life. Sometimes I need to have a period in which I can be totally in comfort such that I can do creative things without any disturbances. But then it's almost an act of discipline to get myself out of that comfort to go freshen up my senses, so to speak, freshen up my perception of world and gain some super dose of new impressions. So in that way, travel is quite important for me. Naman, hello. Today is your questions only. Good sir fry. Hey man, hope you're doing well. Ta-ding. Interest will always carry one over discipline. Yeah, that's also fair. I'm totally new to this Tantra stuff. Just a second, we may start with reflecting on what is interesting for you in that field. Raccoon Man, hello. And by the way, guys, if you received some bim bom from me, let me know. Kiva and Hippocrates. Have various things on the burner tonight, so I'll be in and out, but I hope things are going well, settling into your new location. Yes, thank you so much. Shuriken, we just had a whole drama going on because I saw a big spider on my curtains. So, but otherwise things are going well. Shuriken, I was actually yesterday, I wanted to show you something. I started a project and I'm making a dress with a short top and a striped skirt bottom. So here's where I am. I made the collar today. I wanted to report it specifically to you, Shuriken, because you're my crafts friend. So this will be the shirt, and the collar is actually oversized, so it's like it goes very low. Where is it? Or it can go far from the back, like traditional kimono. You know how kimonos, they have the back that sticks out from the back? And that can be worn like that if it slips down backwards, or it can go forward. So that's where I am, but I'm going to combine it with gray fabric. You saw it on my apron dress, but this time I will keep it smooth. The only thing was that I made the collar like they make on expensive shirts when they line it with a bunch of cotton layers. And I lined it with, I think, too thick of cotton. So instead of being very light and flat collar, it ended up being a little bit thick. I don't know if it will be good in the end product. I don't know. But yeah, this is where the buttons will be. This is all done. And then tomorrow I need to finish the internal part here. And I will be attaching sleeves. Sleeves also have a lot of fun. Thank you, Suriken. Thank you, Paxton Bear. Elman. Hello, Elman. Have you received my email? I sent you the link and the agenda. It's a brief email. I just decided not to overload you with details. Or, yes, Suriken. Yeah, it's pretty thick. It's very pleasant. It's very marshmallowy, so it's really cool. But I don't know how it will look stylistically at this point. I was getting inspiration from multiple sources, but one shirt from Prada from 2025 collection was giving me this itch. So I decided to get that style. I decided to attempt that style, but I didn't quite hit it. So it will have more similarity to something else in the world of fashion than that shirt that I was looking at for inspiration. Why are we yelling already? Ask me some hard questions, guys, please. Happy accidents are sometimes the best ways to make your great new discoveries. That's true. But it necessitates the detour from the initial idea. So if something inspired you, you kind of keep it in your space and you try to tailor what you're making towards that. But then it adds a lot of fun because in the middle of the process, suddenly start getting more new ideas. No email Hippocrates based. That's crazy. That's insane. That's insane. How slow the emailing services work in the world. In 2026. It's crazy. But by tomorrow, they must be there. And if somebody doesn't, who signed up for if somebody doesn't, by tomorrow doesn't get the webinar link and materials, then just email me. Gross question, but generally curious. Where do kings come from and what are your thoughts on them? You see, Paxton Bear, I wanted to analyze your how you formulate your things. I noticed that you always preface the messages with some safety net, like it's probably like, you know how people say it's probably going to be funny, or it's probably going to be embarrassing, or a gross question, and that seeds the concept in the recipient, right? So of this question, and at the same time it shows like kind of your awareness that something is gross or shameful. But then your recipient might have not been thinking about this, that it could be gross or shameful or funny or worthy of some concept associated with that. You see what I'm saying? And that kind of distorts, or that guides the recipient of the question to think from a specific angle. And it also, another side of it, it also involves this person. It makes them feel like they're involved in something shameful or something gross. Because if they start engaging with that, it means that they're engaging with something shameful. And that creates this interesting dynamic where you effectively exercise power over the person that you're communicating with by prefacing your statements with this seemingly safety net. So that's something that I wanted to comment on, because gross question. Why is it gross? Why do you want me to think that it's a gross question? Why do I need to feel like it's gross? This is just a question. Human curiosity is as expansive as possible. Human curiosity is the driving force. It's the ultimate driving force. Super beautiful property of our mind. It's just a question. I can have any relation to it. But it is as almost you crafted the context for both of us. You invited me in the context. That's a power grab, effectively. If a person, for example, is not tracking it as something to pay attention to, but that's some trend that I noticed. Those things are just things. And everyone is entitled to their own understanding of them and how they feel about them, right? But kings can come from various instances in life. It could be early imprint of something. It could be a traumatic imprint of something. It could be a very strong impression from at some stage of sexual development, because human sexuality evolves from birth, develops from birth. So at some stage in this development, there could be some imprint or something that shakes the psychology, something that the psychology was not prepared for example. Hard questions. Okay, how can you prove to us that you're not a beautiful AI woman? I don't know the criteria of AI woman, so I cannot prove, because I don't know what the proof would entail. What am I proving against? But thank you for your compliment. Discipline and focus versus flow and spontaneous creation. A fascinating idea to consider. Both. Discipline and focus and flow and spontaneous creation. Remember, Shuriken, we always talk about this, creating a box, a structure in which flow and creativity can just live spontaneously. We don't need to draw it, I guess, at this point. We build a controllable environment where our observer is not necessary. So we can just flow, create, impulsively experience something. Yeah, that's true. Should I just try and own it? Sorry, just so much anxiety wrapped up in that stuff. Yes, or not trying to like control your experience or thoughts. I think it's just me having a lot of anxiety and trying to protect myself. I don't know. Potentially. The origins of that could be what you're describing as anxiety, because anxiety wants to control something in the environment that they think they cannot handle. And that can use those tools to create those safety nets, to rule the context, to build the context in which others are kind of invited. So that's a very good self-reflection. And at the same time, good therapeutic approach would be to first diffuse the anxiety around it. Introduce ease instead, or more ease. Like, for example, there is 90% anxiety, 10% ease and enjoyment in this topic. Let's change it now. Make it 70% anxiety and 30% ease. And start diffusing it. And one of the tools would be to attempt to not create context for it in safe environment. When you, for example, you're saying, now I feel like accidental jerk. No, it's you're replaying, you see, you're replaying the same thing. Anxiety, bad expectation, creating context, and feeling guilt for something that I think is bad. You're right now replaying the cycle. Let me draw it for you. What we just caught is the replay of the shame cycle. And you also, by saying, by the way, that you're an accidental jerk, what you're also saying, you think that your action affected someone. So you created, imagine in your head, you created a space, you created some context. You see a person who is not aware of this context. You show to them, look, there is context of something dirty. Something dirty, shameful, bad. You show it to them. And you think, in your mind, it's in fact, if you reflect on that, it's a very grandiose thing. You create this context, you think that this person got submerged into this context. And in this context, you feel like you affected them strongly. And you feel shame as an end result. But these things, they exist only in your mind. This person, you perceive them as the player in your theater right now. You think that you affected me in some way by this context, by creating this context. So there is something negative, then you create context, you share this context with someone, you think that this someone got affected by it. Where am I? Here am I. You think that this person is affected by it, and you feel shame. The cycle closed, but you just pumped some other participant in it, in your imagination. The shame, you just needed to reinforce the shame, reignite it. That's what happened. So there was shame. You create context to communicate it, to bring it to someone. You think in your mind that someone got affected by that shameful context, and you feel shame for being a bad person, for igniting it. Let's break it. What component can we remove from here? One component that you can remove is to stop trying to take responsibility or power over somebody else. You can remove this component, or you can craft the context without any shame. You can ditch the shameful component of something that you are interested in. So we can break this cycle by either removing this or removing this, your perception. Of course, it's okay to share. It's okay to communicate with people. So I don't want to encourage you to remove communication component. But you can remove the perception that person got affected, such that this cycle of shame harvesting breaks. This is great stuff. The question's preface exerting some level of control over the one reading the question. GCA joined. Hello, GCA. So yesterday, GCA, you missed a wonderful talk about female sexuality and how to tantrically resolve problems associated with female sexuality and sexual trauma. So yesterday we had this very big conversation that actually was pretty comprehensive, and we did not have any interactive part. So today I wanted to compensate for that and let the audience either continue on the yesterday's topic or bring up whatever there is. So now we're with Paxton Bear. We are figuring out something very important. My answer to prove you're not AI, it takes time to prove sensors and cannot generate continuous micro-expressions and all of the fine definitions of the hair yet. Thank you, Yuri. Nice to just strip Paxton like a... Wow, this is really helpful. I definitely have some stuff to work on. Thank you, Paxton Bear. And this will recognizing these cycles. See, every time now when you engage in such communication, think what you're doing right now. Whenever you feel the impulse to create those safety nets in communications, ask yourself what is happening and remember this cycle. This prefacing the thing is for you to feed the component of your personality that wants to feel shame. And what you feed grows, what you feed exists. If you want to relax and retrain that part of personality, it is important to be aware and to start breaking those cycles. And behaviorally experiment how you could communicate differently. How you could approach the actions that are associated with shame, such that there is no component of shame, because it is likely that you in your head have this persona that that observer that gives you sense of shame. It is in effect a little bit of performance, shameful performance that you throw in front of some persona, some external set of eyes, some societal expectations that exist in your mind. But the world lives its own life. It's a very freeing concept, kind of very freeing idea that people just live their own life. And for them, your peculiarities, some curious things, are literally just some curious thing that they may think about or share with their friends as some like curiosity, if it strikes them a lot. But likely, most of the world will feel quite neutral towards it, or not even know about you. But perhaps there is a desire to get validated or to get seen by certain archetype or certain person, specific person, that there and then did not give you validation, or there and then did not, or did something traumatizing, and you're perhaps looking for reclamation. So think about these things. What is this theater in your mind with the idea of a third person or second person that is supposed to re-pump this shame cycle? Hope that helps. Can't stay long, but have a good stream. Thank you so much, Ruben. How can I make a complete restart of myself without using heavy drugs if possible? Jisaki, let's formulate the task a little bit. What is the complete reset? Restart. And why are drugs the first option that comes to your mind? By the way, here my ethics is that I'm against any substances, mind-altering substances. Out of all things, the substances that I do is green tea. There's much caffeine is in green tea, and theobromine and caffeine that's contained in cacao. So in tablespoon of cacao. So that's my relationships with mind-altering things. Other things, I've never smoked anything. I am against hallucinogens. I'm against anything that crushes pineal gland, overflows pineal gland. I'm not a proponent of that. Neither am a proponent of any more casual things. So that's my ethics, and that's how I work. This is what I encourage in my clients: the clean life with just using the resources and accessing resources of the mind and the body in their healthiest form, naturally. So that's why heavy drugs is very interesting to see in one sentence with a complete reset. And what is that complete reset? What do you expect from it? Restart of myself. Also, what do you define as that myself? When we talk about restarting myself, our personality is much broader than we usually think when we think about these things, especially in the times of crisis. There is a part of our personality, part of our life, that is in crisis or perceives crisis. But then there is so much more about us that we don't even think about. That's why it's important to identify what is that part of what is that myself that we're talking about that you want to restart. And what is a restart? Restart means that there is almost like clean path, like there are no consequences of previous actions, like there is ease as well. One of the things that I can identify in the word restart is ease, to feel lightness, to feel no barriers, to kind of have freedom to do whatever I want. That's what I read in the word restart. What is it for you? Thank you so much, Raccoon. Raccoon man, Raccoon man, Raccoon man. Thank you, Chad. I'm happy you're enjoying it. I think it's similar to social anxiety, where the person feels the need to transform themselves depending on who they are talking to instead of just being themselves, like a chameleon personality. I've been trying to stop doing it myself. Transforming, just being themselves. What is being yourself? And what is that personality? What is the distinction? Where we draw the line between this is still myself and this is fake persona? Because you will not be able to output just any persona on planet Earth. It still will be some persona from your repertoire. So where do we draw the line, and do we need that line? Or maybe we need to fuse them. People wear masks. Jisaki, respond to my question about restart. I appreciate that you're interacting. I just want to remind you to think about that restart. What is for you? But mask. What is a mask? What is being yourself? Illicit drugs almost ruined life. Hippocrates says, thank you for your contribution and data point, Hippocrates, even acquired through such epic experience. Yeah, I do think I've been feeding the shame for most of my life. And when I find acceptance or neutrality, it's hard to believe because I'm so wrapped up in it. Does that make sense? It does make sense, totally. You don't, sorry for dominating stream. Paxton, this is another, if you read, this is another huge thing that shows that you have very grandiose persona that feeds on this shame thing. Sorry for dominating stream. If you glance through the stream, the fact that we're having an exchange, you will notice that I just had exchange with other people as well. You're not dominating the stream. You are participating in the stream. So there is the flip side of it, the benefit of that is that when I am this mighty, when I am in control, when I am done, when I'm inconvenient, when I'm trying to be convenient, show awareness that I'm inconvenient, also shows on the flip side, it shows on the flip side that you are so special. You're so powerful. You're so grandiose. So on the one hand, there is shame. On the other hand, there is, I'm so unique and big and grandiose, powerful. I have power over you. I instill shame in you. See? Right now, with my upcoming question, I will instill shame in you. Boom! Now, feel shame. I might be very inconvenient because I'm dominating this whole topic. I probably just changed your entire mood with what I was saying. I'm sorry about that. It's a huge power that is felt by that. This is why it might be difficult to drop off the cycle, because the cycle is also seen as the power. I carry the power to make you ashamed. I carry the power to make you think about things that are not pleasant for you. I will change your mood. So, you perhaps don't, as an observer of that, but this persona that also feeds off shame wants. It's like a payment for shame. Almost, you know? Nastya casting spells with her hair stick, yeah. Restart only the bad stuff I don't like in my personality, but by the way, I have also good traits. Okay, and what is that restart? How will you understand the restart? What's the, imagine like my incinerator stick gives you restart, like, and you're like, whew, what is in that restart? Let's write the recipe. I don't know what to say now. I don't want to be okay. How do you love yourself? Do you want the actionable items? How I in practice love myself? Or do you want me to just discuss how in general one could love themselves? Paxton Bear, never mind. Let's demystify this thing. And also, Paxton Bear, this is a safe environment. If people are joking, they're joking kindly. So we have very small circle today again. And I want you to feel comfortable. I want you to feel comfortable. I am exercising power over you. I am this good host who wants you to feel comfortable. But it's actually an evil thing to say because the person may feel anything they want. The incinerator one has a lot of powers, yes. We talked about this in another stream, coming to the conclusion, respect for oneself is a better term. Yeah. Elmond, I don't know if you were there, but we're talking about respect, self-respect, and respect for others. And how respect is a far more clear term, clear, very actionable thing to approach. Because respect implies that you respect the function, you respect the needs, you respect the boundaries, you respect the desires, you respect the space. When we love, imagine like a love. A loving parent, for example, passionately loving parent, may just throw their love on their child or passionately loving partner. They can squeeze a child, they can kiss them and make their cheeks wet and unpleasant and gross. Every child probably had this experience. So a child could be not able to respond and defend themselves and feel like it would be inadequate to defend themselves from what is perceived as the act of love and affection. If we approach it through respect, then we'll kind of be less tone deaf, and we will look, is it an appropriate moment to do certain things, or is it more appropriate to do something else? Is it more appropriate to ask for permission, verify that it's a comfortable moment to do certain thing? When there is this passionate love, uncontrollable love, that love may start feeding this child. Child is a good example because childish component is usually the target of love and even self-love. That's why thinking about the child and projecting love onto a child is a useful analogy here. I will give you any candy you want, any cartoons you want, any pleasures you want. But if I respect the child, I respect their path, I respect their health, I respect their best interests. So I think from this point of respect for their best interest, respect for their function, and what is in their benefit. And that balances this passionate, affectionate love. So this is where it's important to introduce respect into the concept of love, self-love, and such. What is someone's purpose if they don't have kids or family? We don't talk about purposes, because what's the purpose of a human? Even if they do have family or kids, what's the purpose of their family and kids? Purpose is a very dumb term. Purpose is for tools that serve some creative actions. Human is the source of creativity, not or recipient or conductor of creativity. It's not the tool. It's not a simple primitive tool whose purpose is to serve something dynamic, something expensive and creative. Because this such a, if you start thinking, if kids or family are the purpose, then the purpose of your kids, it's a perpetual, any person with logic will stumble upon this concept. This whole notion makes the word purpose redundant. The purpose is in self-replication. The purpose is in purpose. It's a redundant idea. And purpose in general is something that pursuit of purpose, to me, is a symptom that person doesn't live in here and now. Are they enjoying life in here and now? Or life is only happening here and now. Purpose is there and then. When you're chasing there and then in your mind, you're not here and now. Why are you not here and now? Why are you more bothered by there and then than by here and now? Do you have tools to be here and now and enjoy life and feel alive? Or are you, to such extent, numbed by stress, anxiety, self-repression, self-sabotage, perhaps physical self-sabotage as well, fatigue, disconnect with yourself, that you are no longer capable of being here and now? You're just numb. Your sensors are numb. Sensors that make you feel alive. That's why there and then that exists in the brain as an abstract idea, just some electrical impulses shaping this abstract idea about there and then, becomes more interesting, becomes the most stimulating thing in the mind. Why is that more stimulating than the experience of life here and now? Why? This is the question that I'll ask in response to that. I think that's up to the person, Trip, what they want to their purpose to be. Is Tantra Hinduism or something disconnected from it? Something disconnected from it. It has a lot of it has deities from Hinduism, but it's not a subset of Hinduism, I would say. It's more rebellious movement. I like the idea of self-respect. That seems more attainable than self-love. I'm glad. Paxton Bear. Self-respect allows you to formulate a recipe and allows you to understand what to do right now, what to do in actionable plane to make life better. Trip was once told, so you are underachieved, and this was someone I have great respect for, but I beg to differ. Underachieved. Yeah, sometimes people see the destiny of the other people or project the destiny of the other people. And they feel a lot of frustration when they don't match their expectation for their projected path. But this is an interesting statement. So you underachieved. It's as if it was derived from some conversation that you participated in before. And that was a conclusion based on something that you've said. And how did you curate the conversation in a way that it led to that conclusion? I must be numb. Even when I try to have one night stands, I can't even get my... Okay, you're numb. Okay. Must be numb. That's quite a spectrum trip. Even when I try to have one night stands, how are one night stands a guarantee or the prerequisite to having a stable erection? There's no correlation in that. You are a unique person with unique makeup. Perhaps your physical representation of your arousal relies on you being comfortable, relies on you being in some perhaps devoted relationship in which you can feel truly connected with the person, as opposed to just meeting someone. So why do you have this link that even in one night stands, it does not perform as I wish, as it should? Who said that it should perform this way in that context? How to make experience of life exciting? I mostly feel dull and unmotivated. Almond yesterday talked about self-love, how to make experience of life exciting. First, we work on easing the load on your compiler, on your brain. We relax. Then we work on the body, because our body is the sensor that senses life. If you want to have exciting life, you must have good sensors, good compiler, good receiver, good compiler. So we troubleshoot those features. We remove the overheating, we allow rest and recovery, and we functionalize the sensors. So this is in a nutshell how this process works. But of course we're dealing with a lot of thoughts, with a lot of concepts, with a lot of abstract things, with a lot of experiences, with life duties, with expectations. So that work is partially conversational, and we need to, and also it's based on the concepts that exist in your mind. What is exciting? What are you striving for? How your life looks like? This is something that we do in the consultations. This is something that we try to understand first, such that we have a clear roadmap. wait, we can talk here openly about pleasure? Yes, Tantra is the science of pleasure, ecstasy, joy. We absolutely can. Because the score of the test said 162, but I presented as a jobless person without value. That was your conversation. Without value, that's an interesting one as well. The system perceives the system trains people to perceive themselves through the worth, the value, the financial value, the value for society, the worth for society, the worth in the world. But behind that lies a human experience. And this is one of those non-material, non-existent contracts, social contracts, that you're supposed to fulfill the expectations of some abstract society, that you're supposed to win some worth in that society, that's determined by who knows what, and that makes you a valuable person in the eyes of society. It only matters if that converts into you having access to resources, converting it into resources. Otherwise, if this social capital doesn't convert in improving quality of life into resources, then striving for achieving that self-perception may be an absolutely empty idea. Because at some point you understand that what is society? Where is that society around me? What is that worth? If along the way you were not enjoying the experience of life, you were not having fulfilling experience of life while getting there, you're left with nothing. No resources, no experiences, no enjoyment. And that abstract society, you'll realize that it does not exist. So that's a very funny game that a lot of people get sucked into, I think. But it always requires awareness to balance these things and understand why you're doing them. Chad found camaraderie with almond. What's today's topic, ma'am? Call me Ish. Today's topic is we have interactive work today. So anything you want will be our topic today. Left the school with absolutely no qualifications whatsoever and didn't join Spetsnaz, so acquired the reward of underachiever. Does it bother you nowadays, or are you a proud underachiever? Hippo isn't that the Russian Special Forces? It is. Hee-heek. Hee-heek. Somebody was performing accolades to me that I was cookie dogs. Hello. That I wasn't drinking on my live streams, but today I am going to love and respect myself, and I'm going to drink. Привет. Yeah, I'm drinking dandelion tea, which is so strikingly different from the US one. Corey Freeman joined with Bright Opening. That Corey Freeman is, you should bring it to the doctor, I think. Dandelion tea using both. Привет is hi. Chad didn't graduate high school, but ended up getting a good job and own apartment despite being told that it's impossible the whole life. Corey Freeman, thank you for sharing details, but again, it's something that you should bring to the doctor, not to me. I'm sorry, it's not my specialty to analyze these things. I don't know what to do in your case. Dandelion, no, it's pretty. I eat dandelion leaves. I like them in salads. I like them fresh. When they're people usually cook dandelion leaves, but I think it makes them more bitter. In contrary to the belief, when you eat them fresh in a salad with apple cider vinegar and delicious vegetables, they're very, very good. And tea is also pretty tasty. Hello, memes. Hi in Russia. Suka Bam 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 bam. Yes, Hippocrates agrees with me on dandelions. And tea is also delicious. But I think maybe I was using roasted dandelion in the US. Roast dandelion tea, that's why it tasted differently. I didn't know that dandelions eat. They don't eat. We eat them. How did the moon and sun happen to be at such precise distances that they appear the same size? Do they appear the same size? Do you like white sage? I don't know if it's what I have as white sage, but I think I do. I don't know. I don't know if it's that. It's sage. Okay, I've returned, Kivushka. Dandelions contain more vitamin A than anything in your fridge. You need to see my fridge. Now it's empty, but with liver that's sold here, that's such an amazing liver. Nothing beats that. Vitamin A is also absent in dandelions. Needs to be converted. A lot of Europeans cannot convert beta carotene into vitamin A, especially without fats. So, at your fridge. Best tea combination is ginger, chamomile, and peppermint. I would never think to mix those. Chamomile and peppermint, yes, but ginger, no. I like to burn white sage leaves, but I was told you can make tea with it too. Do you like, Chad, how they go like with those bundles? They go and cleanse their room. Do you do something like that? Hippocrates, feel free to disagree. You go to the gym. Do you go to the gym? No, I don't go to the gym. I don't like going to the gym to work out. I'm either active outside or I'm doing exercise at home because I like to do them in the fresh air. I like to do them without any spandex clothes that are just like fusing into your skin. I like to have access to comfortable beverages. I like to have access to the bathroom, to proper hygiene when I work out. All of that just made me so repelled by the idea of the gyms. And I never could adopt the culture of going there. I like to be alone. I like to work at my own comfortable place, comfortable kind of connection with myself, not waiting on the equipment and all of these things. But that also owing to the fact that when I do work out, I work out with dumbbells or nothing. Freak the gym. Yeah, the smudge sticks. I prefer the loose leaves. Kiushka Gray didn't miss. No, he didn't. Good walks, plenty of digging in the garden. Okay, you're a nature lover. I'm part of nature. I am nature. I like eating meat, but I feel guilty about eating it. Oh, almond yesterday. Oh my God. That's such a loaded topic for me. It's one of my specialties. If you go on my website, I have consultations for people who are quitting veganism. And actually have wonderful success stories with that. On my channel, you will find playlists on vegan deficiencies, interviews with ex-vegans. I conducted 4,500 entries, ex-vegan survey study, single-handedly. That took me probably 6 months to perform on 25 volunteers. And I did such an immense body of work with veganism, and actually veganism and understanding how much it's tied to psychology and the psychology of guilt brought me also, was one of the things that brought me to Tantra, because I noticed that anytime I talk about veganism, there's also always this psychological component. It's the biggest conflict between human biology and human psychology. And when I understood the biological implications of veganism, rendering it as absolutely, I don't know, evil thing for human body, I realized that this is a very interesting phenomenon. It's a very interesting phenomenon in which human psychology starts working against human physiology. And that is on par with what EDs do to humans. That's on par with some of the radical cases of that would be in raw vegan community. There are people who are cleansing themselves obsessively. They're doing all sorts of flushes, all sorts of detoxes, so-called detoxes. They're doing this gut scrub ritual where they drink juices and then they consume a bunch of psyllium husks with clay, and they poop out all of their gut lining with the mold of their gut, large intestine specifically, but they say that it cleanses their intestines, which is not true because their intestines is where all the nutrients are absorbed, and the liquids are absorbed in the colon, so they're just scrubbing the final part of their digestive system, but they claim that it gives them some insane detox and mega healing. So there are people who are trying to be squeaky clean through the diet, through cleanses, not being able to accept that there is a rear end in a human, that food inevitably transforms into something that is escaping from the rear end, and that's nature of human, this duality. Cookie dogs confirms. I was vegan for 3.5 years, and yeah, it was nuts. I like calisthenics workouts that use your own body weight. Exactly, I'm on that team. No to the gym, Q. Radical, no. Pronounce the no. I also do home workouts, but my parents always enter in my room. Ask them to join. Paxton Bear's garden is thriving this year. Wonderful, congratulations. Sport good for Tantra, no? No, sport, I mean, Tantra. What the Tantra is not a cult. Tantra is not some limiting identity, let's say. Sport is, if you think some people require sports, for example, for some recovery, they need to do certain physical exercises, physical program to feel good. Generally, people need to move to keep everything fluid, to keep everything plastic, to keep everything infused with blood. So movement is inherently good for human biology. And healthy human biology is one of the foundations of so-called tantric lifestyle. But sport, if you think that the exercise are healthy, they're good for you, not for some Miss Tantra. Do vegans eat I don't know. Ask them which vegans. I mean, a medium weight kettlebell is good to have. Lots of functional workouts with those. Thank you for recommendation. The second, no, I'm ex-vegan, anti-vegan, and yeah, you can look at my materials on my channel. And Cookie Dogs was vegan for 5 years. Destroys your body. Went back to eating meat. Congratulations on that, Cookie Dogs. You can see, by the way, my ex-vegan study videos. You can just skim through the slides if you don't want to watch the whole library of them. Each video there is slides with commentary. So you can look at those. I have some interesting data there, so incredible data. Vegetarian but not vegan for 16 years, Naman. Kurt, you look amazing in red, and I love your lives. Very informative. Kurt, thank you so much. Kivushka is sipping. Vegans don't get the right B12 vitamins or bioavailable proteins and amino acids. Yes, that's part of it. B12, the main thing is cofactors, because even if you take pills form of the vitamins, you're not delivering them with proper amino acid complexes, organic molecules that are necessary to deliver them to the cell. In B12 in particular, there could be a problem with transport proteins. There could be problems with assimilating B12 on the cellular level. And there are also some forms of pseudo B12 that may be found in some natural supplements for B12 for vegans, such as seaweeds. Then B12 is a small but mighty part of the story, but one of the biggest deficiencies on a vegan diet will be choline, one of the most dangerous, and methionine. Methionine restriction, choline restriction, they cause brain damage, they cause skeletal damage, they cause blood vessel damage, leading to atherosclerosis in particular, which is blood clotting, which is like blood when there's plaque in the arteries. A lot of things happen besides B12. That's why I made the playlist on very key things that dig deeper into the topic instead of just looking at that as some building blocks. It's not building blocks, it's a connected system. Nutrition must be complete. And always, even if you listen to vegan rhetoric, complete nutrition, just think about it. They use the reference for what is complete nutrition to strive for. They use meat. Meat-based diet is a complete nutrition that they're trying to strive for, combining products into achieving that. So that's the answer, pretty much. If you're vegan, then you're female. No, Corey Freeman, it's a false statement. Good food is pleasure. Paxton Bear, thanks for all your thoughts today. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Paxton Bear. And if you're leaving, I wish you a wonderful night. Yeah, the good old B12. Have you seen the price of ghost things, especially in UK and Ireland? Calisthenics, the best. Sport is good. Speaking of gardens, my fig tree is continuing to bear more and more. That's a cookie. I actually inspected my figs that are on the way that are actually fruiting. I just can't believe that. You know, the figs that are fruiting this year are the figs that grow in the shadow, and they also are tangled with ivy. So they are like, they remind me of people who reproduce disproportionately in the slums somewhere, in some terrible conditions. This is the manifesto from nature this year. The figs that are growing on a beautiful terrain, having sunshine, they're just not doing that. But the figs that are fruiting, they are growing in some insane conditions. It's such a funny observation. All the real supplements like B12 and magnesium are quite pricey because there's less filler like cellulose, and the sources are expensive. Definitely gonna watch your vegan stuff. I will appreciate it so much, Jisaki, so much. It was such an insane amount of work. That was the legacy that I wanted to create. You have an unusually deep voice, Cookie Dogs. You mean relatively to normal? Me too, said I only have one. To have a fig tree, Kiva, is a very good situation. In your possession, I mean. I think vegan people face a lot of difficulties to complete their nutrition goal. They have very less options. Yeah, it's called bioavailability. Not all vitamins drugs get absorbed. Yes. If you notice, all foods in nature, they come as a whole package. Fish comes with vitamin D. Fish comes with omega-3, with, I'm thinking about liver. Just had conversation with my friend today. Cod liver, for example, comes with fat, vitamin A, vitamin D. Source of vitamin A, vitamin D, they come with a lot of fats and also omega-3s and K2 as well. So you get you take one item and it carries everything that's necessary to maintain some function or a system of functions, related functions. So it's a very beautiful thing. Tangled with ivy, yes, they're like wrapped in it. Wayne joined. My fig tree isn't exactly in the shade, sometimes half where it is. I'm surprised it's actually bearing more than last time. Not leaving yet, just want to say thank you. Thank you so much, Paxton. Enjoy. I try to eat as healthy as possible because I drink so much. Still exploring the most beneficial things to put in my body in order to mitigate the damage from alcohol. How is your, by the way, Chad? How is your current relationship with that? Have you come to terms with it, or perhaps started feeling more control with that? Would be interesting. Omega-3 6 etc. supplements are so much better in Eastern Europe and Russia than they are in the UK, Ireland. We get crap stuff. I don't know. Omega-3 supplements in general are pretty crappy because most of them are rancid, unfortunately, or fortunately. There's no need to eat them in general if you just eat healthy foods. It would be wonderful if Western Europe did not infringe on people's freedoms to access high quality food and supported farming, because there are some catastrophic changes happening in Netherlands and stuff. Been on THC seltzer kick. Alcohol damage is the whole other story. NAC kind of helps, but it's a complex metabolic process. And also in Russia, I don't think that they're delivered from other places than they are delivered to the UK. Your wand is carrying exposure therapy. Lemon tree is bearing as well. I'd say my garden is successful. Maybe if not, then close to successful. Amazing. What TV series or movie did you have recently watched and felt good for a while? Also, unpopular opinion. Being omnivorous is the best thing you can do for your body as a human. Ish. Unpopular opinion. It's actually one of the popular opinions, I would say. People are always worshipping balanced diet. I find myself feeling the best without grains. So I cannot agree with omnivory because, I mean, doesn't work as well. And honestly, I should look into actual exposure therapy. There are some pretty cool metabolic simulators used for drug research. I have a Mayer one and I love it. Mayer lemon. I've been able to control portions. I still wait until 5 or 6 to drink, even on days off, etc. Cool. How do you stop pleasure from becoming addiction, especially when it's physical and healthy, like too much chocolate? How do you stop pleasure from becoming addiction? Elman is asking, how do you stop an unhealthy pleasure? When can we start talking about an addiction? Let's think about it. So pleasure from becoming addiction. Addiction is some hyper focus. There's something one that draws your attention, resources, something that you think, like how I usually illustrate it, I rely on. There's no other option. No matter what, I always default to this one thing. Like I'm choosing, it's the easiest thing for me to get. If I want pleasure, I'm just going for this one thing and I'm holding on to it. I'm attached to it. I'm attached to it. If this is confiscated, my quality of life is absolutely busted because there's no alternative to it. So, what are the ways to prevent this from happening? If it's still some pleasure that becomes kind of the centerpiece of your life, what can we do to diffuse it? What's the logical solution here that comes to mind? What are the approaches? You have a demand for a certain amount of pleasure, like you need to receive X units of pleasure per day. This is your demand. Or you need, let's say this X can be a function, also can be a function of stress. So demand will be a function of stress, let's say. So what is the logical solution here? Let's enjoy it. So demand for pleasure is a function of stress, let's say. Is a function of stress, but also it's not just a function. So we have some baseline demand for pleasure. So this will be our demand versus stress. We have some baseline need for pleasure, like healthy need of pleasure. Everybody needs it. But then, for example, stress makes us just slightly more dependent on it. And then we're unable to receive pleasure at some point in stress because it just hinders our ability. So this function degenerates. So we have some baseline demand for pleasure, and then as stress increases, it starts going a little bit higher. Where is almond? Let's work together. The logical solution here is to zoom out from this prominent point that draws all of your attention. To see that there are more sources of pleasure. The problem is that at some point you got numb to this one, you got numb to this one, you got numb to this one, to this one, to this one. You lost resource, you started getting fatigued. At some point the balance of pleasure and stress got screwed up. You lost resource to connect with these sources of pleasure. Just didn't have resource anymore because those sources of pleasure, for example, required some effort. Then these sources of pleasure became not interesting because you became more numb in life. You kept not feeling pleasure enough. So your numbness increased because your stress started overriding you. And this numbness left, you only have resource to enjoy something one. There's only resource to enjoy this little thing. The most approachable, the most sure thing. Because what happened? Not prioritizing pleasure led to, and choosing stress together led to numbness, fatigue, inability to enjoy. Inability to enjoy. Here. And what do you want from your body right now? What do you want from your brain right now? It sees one most attainable thing, the last door to pleasure that's easy to get with the given resources. Lack of resources. Lack of resource. And it gradually becomes your addiction. And this slips out from the picture, from consideration. But the demand for pleasure still exists. So the whole burden of fulfilling it goes to this, let's remove this boob thing, goes to this one most attainable, sure thing that stimulates your pleasure receptors enough for you to understand that this is pleasure. Sugar is a wonderful example for that, wonderful thing for that. Almond, where are you? Ima, hello. Cookie dogs, yeah, something like that. Do I get detention after school? Yes. Where is my almond? Almond, does it make sense? Ты пришел, иди ко мне, мальчик мой, иди на ручки. Кузенька пришел. This is time for Кузенька. Ты Кузенька. Ты пришел. Моя любовь. Make sure you memorize that test is tomorrow. Угу. Маленький мой пришел. Puppy, yes, it's a puppy time. Вонючий мой такой. Ты такой вонючий, ты спал. Ты спал, мой принц. Маленький ко-хост. Я смеюсь над тобой, да. Ты мне поцелуйчик сделал. Ты мне сделал поцелуйчик. Спасибо, моя звезда. Пошел. Поцелуйчик сделал и пошел. Умница моя. I'll be back. I'll wash my hands a little bit. I guess the mic is still connected, right? I don't know how far it picks up the signal. Мой солнышко. Ring. Still me and it has an active personality. So yeah, that's the conversation that we need to have. How, out of all pleasures in the world, one becomes the center of our focus. My kinky co-host. What are we learning about today? Teacher, since I was running late, you don't have to tell me too much, but it's still about love. Yes, of course, it's still about love. On paper, this doesn't look bad at all. This like... Where is my friend Almond? Addiction is a biochemical Ponzi scheme. You're borrowing joy from tomorrow to pay for a high today until your new neural receptors go bankrupt. But then what to do with that? And why you're doing that? Understanding this mechanism is what we're here for, such that we can formulate the recipe to get out of that or not allow it to happen. Isn't one addiction pleasure a good thing instead of many? It is not. Anything one, any identity, one single passion, one single focal point in life. They create an unstable system that is easy to collapse. It's instrumentally impossible to live like that sustainably when you rely on something one and rely, moreover, to fill your whole cup. Like you're trying to fill it from one source. It's not sustainable. It's risky. It's associated with anxiety because what if the source is gone? What if I cannot access that source? Moreover, this cup will not be filled anymore because the because of the acquired numbness, because of when, especially when the stimulus is high, there is numbness developing. Plus, with anxiety for the worry about the source, and мой ты хороший, and whatever dysfunctions accompany this addiction, this cup will be harder and harder to fill. So it's not a good strategy, I don't think. Мой принц, ну посиди со мной еще. Leads to exhaustion otherwise, yes. It's good to balance focus and defocus. That's what we're going to be working on in the webinar, workshop. Workshop it will be. We're going to be working on this diffusion, on how to expand in many areas of life. Что-то ты пахнешь так, солнце мое. Ты такой похоть у меня. He is a Yorkie poodle. Paxton Berry needs to head out? Absolutely. Join in next time. Маленький пончик мой любимый. It's almost like when you take ecstasy and you feel it for the first time. You're trying to get that feeling and you can feel the... Yeah. Addiction is like overusing. Да что? Тебе может стул принести? Let me bring a chair for my dog because he doesn't want to... I don't understand what he wants. 1 second. I joke until nobody laughs anymore, not even you. Now you have to sit in awkward silence until you actually become funny again. Солнышко мое, что ты хотел? Мальчик мой, мой принц. Что ты хотел? Тебе надо покушать дать, что ли? Ну, покушать надо, завтра ресторан открывается. Да, у нас ресторан открывается завтра, солнце мое. Сегодня мы только погуляем и спать будем. Ладно, прелесть моя. Coming to terms with being alone. Many great people in history died alone, like Isaac Newton. Is that what we're talking about? Was I close? Yes. The dog's name is Kuzya. Kivushka started flower bombing. I want to hear back from Almond. Where is Almond? Yeah, he is a Russian dog. He understands Russian only. Secretly flower bomb. I was on 30 day at one stage. Okay. I think he left the classroom. Yeah. How will they know how to not turn pleasure into an addiction? We'll have to watch the replay. I think I will be leaving classroom now, if we don't have any more questions or topics, because addiction is something that we discussed in detail. This would be an interesting twist if we had feedback on this specific work. But I think we'll be converging I talk and I will walk my пес. Walk my пес. Да, мы сейчас гулять пойдем с тобой. Да, моя звезда. Да, моя звезда. Сейчас мы пойдем гулять. So I'm gonna go take care of my dog. And we'll make it a shorter one today. 2 hours. Because my dog is like really wants attention, but he doesn't want to be picked up. So, and he brought me to the kitchen. And there are 2 business ideas that he has. One is to eat and one is to walk. I have my brother and sister who I talk to on the phone, some work friends, and I have you and your community. So I'm not really alone. There's just an ever-growing void in my heart for female intimacy. We read it. I'm sorry if I was not meant to read it before I retracted it. Well, I'm very happy that you found with a lot of friends here. I'm very honored and my heart is very warmed by this message. It's really valuable for me, Chad. I'm very happy that you shared that. And it's interesting that you're visualizing the void as growing. And if you're feeling this dynamic, it exists only in your psyche, so you can work on it shrinking the void or turning the void into a path. To turn it from something that's supposed to happen to you to turn it into the plane of what you are doing, creating, and experiencing. You know, Chad, I want to give this thought. I want to bring this thought into existence that there are 2 ways of living life, 2 like mindsets of living life. It's a choice that everyone makes, and perhaps it's a choice that affects some areas of life. A very important one. Ой, ты мой сладкий. I live life and life happens to me. These are super cool things to think about. I live life versus life happens to me. Things, choices, relationship, etc. There is, of course, a component of spontaneity in the external world, and there is a component of things that happen to us. But the internal push is the fundamental thing that can change the course of life and the choices that you're making. When you choose the paradigm of I live life, I actively live life, this is when you will be perceiving certain events. You will be very mindful about the events that used to be in this, that they just happened to you spontaneously. You'll move them to the plane of your choices and something that you can create. And that's a totally different mode of life. You can little by little transfer things from here, things that just happened to me, to here. There's some void, there are some like ladies that are not happening in my life. There are relationships that are not happening in my life. There are career choices that are not happening to me. There are experiences that are not happening to me. Those bitches of experiences. Why are they not happening to me? When you bring them to here that I don't create the conditions for these events to happen, and I want these events to happen, so I will be creating conditions for these events to happen. You turn them into action plans, as opposed to something not happening or happening, and I'm just there to passively experience it. So this is a very important decision to make. Could you please solve the addiction riddle? Which is the riddle? We were on it, but the author of the question disappeared, and I don't know where we ended on that topic. It kind of diffused. Before you go answer this, why do we need to convince ourselves that it was our fate and it was written, or it will follow that was written? Why do we do that to ourselves? Because we're escaping here and now? Some people need explanations for certain things as well. Something bad happened to them, but something bad happened is a probabilistic thing and probably a component of our choice. Probabilistic plus a component of choice. It just happened. And there is a temptation because we like patterns. Humans like pattern recognition. It's a very fascinating process. Humans like to create laws. Humans like to formulate laws. Like if something happened, then it was for something. For example, humans love purpose. If something happened just probabilistically, then must have had a purpose. That's one side of it. Ну сейчас мой сладкий. Ты на ручки хочешь? На ручки хочешь, любовь моя? Чего ты хочешь, принц мой любимый? Иди аккуратненько так посиди. Вот так. Хочешь ли полежи? I see so many people coming with this purpose question. When people forget how to experience life. And when, for example, they don't have powers, another facet of it, when they don't have powers, when they are exhausted, terrified, traumatized, to keep going. This is when they keep sticking in the past. They keep going in the past events, analyzing them, picking them apart to find some new facets in that past event. They kind of get stuck in that point in the past of some events, some unfavorable events, because they don't have resource or they don't have a method for how to move on. And some events, they are pretty harsh. Some events indeed become really difficult for people to come out of. They become very exhausting. The experience trying to coexist with the understanding what happened may be very exhausting. So getting stuck there, it hinders the need. It justifies not moving on, not moving forward in a way. It explains it. Red dress. What red dress? I deleted it because you said you were ending the stream and I didn't want to be selfish. If it's a probability or coincidence, then what is the definition of luck? Luck is when your expectation of something, your best interest coincided with the probability, with probabilistic outcomes. That's it. I yearn for female intimacy. I would change my whole life if a woman liked me back. It's your life that you're changing. Why is somebody else a condition for it? Whole life. So you want to go from 0, imagine you want to go from 0 to 100 upon one condition. Can you do 20% based on some other motivation? More, if 15% more based on something else, based on some push from within. You want one condition, to be responsible for 100% of the changes that you envision for yourself. Isn't too much? Can you distribute this change that you're craving? You're earning for change, obviously, as well. Can you, and you're looking for energy to fuel it up. Can we find energy somewhere to make at least 70% of change on our own, with our own powers? The woman in the red dress, solution for everything. The woman in the red dress has a solution for everything, not for everything. I don't believe in luck, Jisaki. I guess most people are lazy. Again, luck is what we perceive when it worked out, you know? When we wanted something and it worked out. And we perceive it as bad luck when the probability doesn't match our fantasy. My ears just changed. Because I'm like this to compensate. What is she doing? She's plugging her phone in. Because I have 10% battery left. And my microphone jack is the same as charger, so I need to unplug and plug. If he's good looking, keep him. If he looks start fading, dump that boy. Thomas Rajelis. That's the spirit. Thank you, Emma. So when it works out, people call it fate and they thank someone in the sky. Thank someone in the sky. I'm glad I can express these things. Wonderful. Slavic or Balkan? Slavic. Slavic. Chad, by the way, if you reflect on that, what you want to perform 100% change, right? 100 units of change in your life. And you want a woman to be the donor of energy for that. How much energy do you currently have to fuel? For how much of this energy do you have yourself right now? What's your own resource to perform this change? Like out of 100 units, how much do you possess right now yourself in your estimate, in your perception? I'm glad I can express these things to you and you actually address them with logic and reasoning. Thank you. Maybe not 100, and I'll probably say mine is 80% after work. That's a good metric actually. After work I would expect far less energy to think about some changes. With teas. Maybe like 3 out of 100. I'll give you an analogy perhaps from the other perspective. In my personal story, there was this element of wanting some big and powerful, wealthy figure to come and create a career for me, create me some career success and financial stability. So it was supposed to be something specifically that would ensure that I would feel self-realized, but at the same time I would feel like it's all done for me. Some idealistic idea, you know? I had this feeling that I could not do it by myself. There must be some figure that would come and give me the resources, that will give me the validation, that will give me permission, that will create things for me, will create some framework for me to work, to do what I want to be doing, to achieve what I want to achieve. So that was my idea. I felt like I was completely helpless to do it on my own. But the paradox is that when I started working on myself and seeking more autonomy, I realized that from that mindset that someone will come and do these things for me, I indeed did not have energy to do things on my own. That's the paradox. When you are in that space of expectation, you yourself will not have resource to do anything. It is a very weak, very deficient state of being. The moment you realize that you can wait forever and this will not fulfill, or that you cannot wait any longer, nothing will change. When you realize, when you face this realization that it's all in your hands, that the leadership in this project, this makeover, is only in your hands, and there is no one that will come and save you. And in my life, it happened actually because I had this very juvenile self-perception and had very juvenile appearance as well. And when I looked in the mirror, it was kind of reinforcing my perception of that juvenile, cute person who was to be saved, who was to be given. For me, it happened when I realized that I am no longer as juvenile. I no longer look as infantile as I used to. So I saw in the mirror that I'm not a child anymore, and it's just a mismatched role that I'm trying to put onto myself. I realized that it would look very silly and mismatched if I keep acting from that role, because I no longer cannot project this childishness as I imagined something adorable, which was not adorable. Now I reflect on that. It was not adorable. It was a child projecting some horror even. But in my perception, I appeared like such, and I no longer did anymore. So this contrast opened me to idea that I am an adult woman now, for the first time in my life. And I realized that, oh, I am the one to lead my life. And that gave me such a freedom. It sparked my pursuits. Also, one was coinciding with the period when I pursued Tantra. And when Tantra instantly opened some tools for me how to actually execute it practically. But this realization happened in such a liberating way that there is no person there who will solve my problems. None. And God knows, I tried. I tried living with this illusion for a good 10 years or more. As an adult, it was, yes, 10 years. fruitless 10 years when no one came to rescue this cute child, as I imagined myself. No one. And then, moreover, I was no longer a child. I could not play that role. I saw a woman in the mirror. So I came to a realization that it is my homework. It is my work, my due work. And that became my biggest makeover. And the biggest makeover in my personal relationships, that I've been in this relationship for 10 years. And it did have very critical points. It did have a lot of things that were this like in the field of permanent or recurring conflict. And I understood something. And it was the biggest makeover in the relationships. It was the biggest makeover in my relationships with my parents, in my relationships with finances, in my relationships with my career, in my world, my leadership. To understand that no one will do this for me. Now, in retrospect, I also understand that it would never be satisfying if someone did achieved for me. No one will be able to give me satisfaction changing my life. Only I can change my life and feel it and actually experience it and enjoy. If someone came and changed life, well, it would be their life experience. It would be their job, it would be their game that they will be playing and winning. Not winning. It also will be an impossible effort, but it will never be perceived as a fulfilling task. So that's the path to liberation. Chad, are you following me or are you chatting with Hippo? The realization to finally be an adult is always in combination with hardship. And it was hardship of very internal kind because it was the peak of comfort for me. It was when I had super financial security, when I had a provider even, when I had full creative freedom. That was my point of makeover, when I realized that nothing gives me satisfaction without some X factor that I needed to discover. Nice, your speech gave me an epiphany. So we should kill our inner child once we're 30. No, we need to have a parent for an inner child. We need to have childishness is a wonderful thing. We had a webinar actually on, not webinar, live stream. We had live stream about when childishness and infantilism. We did a conversation about infantilism. And infantilism is traumatized child without defense, without a protector, without an actual adult figure that's capable of managing life. So we don't kill our inner child, we embrace it. But we're not sitting as a victim waiting for the parent to come. We learn actionably what it is to be an adult, how to actually play big in the world, It in fact expands our ability to play more, because the inner child in an infantile scenario cannot play. The child is just a crying, sad child, just expecting something. Good for inner child, nor it's good for an adult. When you integrate them, your inner child can fuel the play and play itself and do whatever is inner child for you. At the same time, the adult stands on the leadership place and can play big in the world. So double, triple, multiply the play. That's the path of creatorship, leadership. It's not killing, it's expanding. Good, Chad. Love you, brother. No homo. Important remark. I feel like the teacher who is like, guys chatting or playing and some like somewhere in the back of the classroom, and I'm like, what? Quiet down. Gotta admit, you're really smart. I'm trying to learn everything to teach me. Remember it. Thank you so much, Emma. Alright, any closing remarks because I want to go. I didn't expect this much to be written down for side notes. Yeah. End up being pretty good. I love personal stories. I love those, not personal, I mean case studies. Let's call them case studies. Yeah, I must have done something right at one time. Nope, thanks for the education, teacher Chisaki. Thank you so much. I'm glad you joined. We'll see you in the next stream. And no, you're amazing tonight. You were amazing tonight. Thank you so much, Kolmish. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I have a feeling that Chad is typing something. Well, good thing I put a star next to the side notes title so I know which is which. You on again tomorrow night, Nastya, or are you taking a break? I don't know when I'll be back home because tomorrow we're going to explore one city that coincidentally also has a fabric store. So I don't know how late I will return, but if I return at an adequate time, then I will stream. Again, proposals for topics, big questions are always welcome. If you want to drop something in the comments to the live stream or send me anything, Chad is typing flowers. So you were switching keyboard from text to flowers. Thank you for gardening around here. Nice one, girl. You enjoy yourself. Whenever somebody says girl, I cannot read it normally. I always read it with either like stereotypical gay men say that, or as California girls. I'm proud fabric store, yes. I need to buy scrunchie elastic for my skirt because I wanted to employ one design, but then I realized it's engineering wise impossible. So I need to get a scrunchie. And fabric, and of course I always need fabrics. I always need fabrics. I don't know, I'm so addicted to buying them. I feel like I feel, insecure when I don't have meat at home, and I feel insecure when I don't have fabrics in my stash. I'm addicted to having big cuts of fabric. It gives me security. And also I love notions, because if I realize that I don't have a zipper, I don't have some threads, or I don't have some, I don't know, buttons, I also feel insecure without that. That's my thing. I'm probably gonna ask you many times about veganism, Jisaki. Jisaki, please go through my binge watch my materials on veganism. You will enjoy it so much. And also read through the comments. I have some wonderful masterpiece comments. Oh my god. Sorry. Especially under the video when I quit veganism. I have wonderful comments there, so enjoy. And does girl make you cringe? Yeah, it might. But I authorize you to use it. It's actually a good time for flowers since the stream curtains are closing soon. Yes, Kiva. Reminded me of, by the way, curtains remind me of the spider that we had. Wondering where it is. Lotus is from Chad. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Tomorrow's topic should be overcoming insecurities. Let's write it down. Wonderful suggestion. Which insecurities? What insecurities do people usually have? I had, he was my friend, my crush, and my classmate. Imagine the idol of Luxmaxers. Like the idol of Luxmaxers. Blonde, 6 foot something, built, incredibly built, with Luxmaxer idol-like face, with athletic figure. That guy shared with me that he had insecurity about his fingertips. And the insecurity was his teacher in school told him that she would never be with a man with ugly fingers or fingertips, because those fingertips indicate some rotten personality or something. Imagine. Insecurities. Insecurity that you might not be on the Morra? Tomorrow's okay, so we're doing overcoming insecurities. Let's do it. You got this. How often do you do streams? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, potentially Friday or Monday. And also we have workshops in Zoom. So this week on Saturday we're conducting a workshop in Zoom where we're going to practice 2 tantric practices, 2 tantric exercises. Floral bones, my beautiful friends. Luxmaxing is a Gen Z thing. Spider, spider, spider. Should have said the stream curtains with a spider when it will close. I stream around 8 p.m. Magic Dragon said. Wonderful. Irish, Scottish, and German. Cool. Spider is Hrant. She's got 47 kids all doing well in the corner. They eat well and she relaxes in the evening. Grand. Let's see. Let me see if I can catch it somewhere. The spider was not found. I might start feeling personally attacked by the spider not liking my apartment. Alrighty, guys. So we've exhausted everything that we wanted to discuss today, I guess. Overcoming insecurity. We even got the topic. Thank you so much. I love this dynamic. There's always something I can talk about, but it's very nice. By the way, everyone, have any ideas? Throw them in the comments. If you have some particular insecurities that you would like to discuss. Some people, some people have insecurities about their shape of their ears. Some people have insecurities about their belly button shape. Of course, there could be insecurities in the deeper level. For example, some features in the genitals and stuff. Some people have more obvious insecurities that are more like, socially apparent when they have insecurities about their body image and whatnot. We need to brainstorm that. Oh, now we have the whole garden going on, guys. Thank you so much. Very beautiful. Insecurities about people might think I'm dumb, although I'm doing a PhD. Oh, this is call me Ish. You and GCA. You should have watched the stream before last one. Because we were talking about GCA, who joined in earlier today but then left, I guess, was saying that literally just said that he's dumb, but when very stressed, suddenly smart. And I'm like, no, do you see that there is a conditional statement? You cannot be claiming that you are dumb, by no means. Because it's obvious that you have resource for showing some peak smartness and intelligence, however you assess it. So we were going through that perspective by changing it to a conditional thing, that there is a domain in which you can get in touch with your peak intelligence. So that's something that we're discussing. You might find interesting. It was streamed prior to previous one. I have an insecurity about my voice causing alarm and sadness. I'm intrigued, to be honest. At this point, I'm really intrigued, if anything. Кивушка, спасибо большое for цветочки. A beautiful gardener. Chat brothers, I'm thankful for you and Nastya. I'm glad I came across your stream. Thank you so much, Chad. Very happy as well. And would be cool if you give it just 30 seconds of thought to what I said about this situation when you face that you are the leader of your life and you are to enact everything that you want. If you got the woman that you truly love and you can keep her sexually satisfied, then you're doing good in life. Maybe. Well, I'm not book smart, that's for sure. That should be my insecurity. You should be like, everyone has insecurity nowadays. What will be mine? Not book smart. Not book smart, let's put it this way. But I'm street smart. Oh my god, purples and pinks. Oh my god. For some reason tickles me today. This color combo was beautiful, so beautiful. Define insecurities. Define them. Beautiful butterfly. Oh my god, these animated things are so pretty. And it's also purple and pink. Divine insecurities. When I squinted my eyes to blow a kiss, I was like, divine insecurities. I'm like, that's deep. Now, cognitive functions, they could die when I get stressed. Hippocrates has the opposite of GCA. But maybe GCA has hyper stress that stimulates it. You know, if you get stressed more, maybe you will discover superpowers. Leslie wasn't lying, for sure. Only truth here. Hypocrisy, yeah, that butterfly was super cool. When I first saw it, I thought it was crochet, but it's more like smooth. Chad, thank you so much. Thank you so much for throwing flowers my way. Alright, guys. Thank you everyone for today's wonderful conversation. Kirushka, oh my god, these colors. Again, you inspire me for fabrics. Let me take a screenshot. Can I take a screenshot of live stream? But you inspire me for fabrics, but then the reality is a little bit different because fabrics are not available in just any color on the planet. Get it done. Oh, get it done. Hello. Have a good night. You too. Good night, Chad. And ta-da-ba-bum, ba-bum. My dog came to check again. Fabric inspiration. Yes, Kiwa. So, we are departing. Have a good night, everyone.